Hello, Scorpio. I hope that everybody's doing well. Before we get into it, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with everyone's highest good. I'm getting stuff about food. Waffles, waffle cone, something like that. Ice cream. Something about like eating something sweet. All right, we're starting off with the Ten of Pentacles, Scorpio. What's going on here? Intuitively, what I'm feeling, it almost feels like you may have reached a goal or something that you wanted, or maybe like have gotten something that you wanted and like secured it, but it feels almost like you had it for a moment and then it was taken away. Or like maybe something, the product of it, like you thought it was what you wanted, but then you recognized that it wasn't. For some of you, you could even be like things going on with the home, even. Like maybe feeling emotionally affected because of things going on in the home. For some of you, this can be related to job, related to, I'm hearing resources, like finances, maybe even. For some of you, you could have even lost someone. It feels like that too. It feels very melancholy, what I'm getting. Yeah, there's a big change happening. You are the first major arcana, yeah, popping out. As I said before, it's like this notion of like losing someone or going through a breakup or like something that like you wanted, maybe just having it for a short amount of time. It's like something feels very fleeting. So there's a sense of like, it feels almost like, this is like completely like metaphorically what I'm talking about here, but it almost seems like you wanted to buy a house and then you buy a house and like you live in the house for a day and then like the house gets decimated somehow. That's kind of what this feels like, and you can apply that to whatever it was for you. Like you could have reached a place like within a relationship or within a career or something like that that you were like very happy about reaching. You felt like you reached a goal, and then it's almost like the rug gets pulled out from under you. That's really what this feels like. So now things are changing for you, and maybe what you could have even gotten to a place where you were like, I'm gonna feel satisfied when I secure that, and then you secure it and then you're like, this is not what I was looking for it to be, it's not what I thought, things like that. And for some of you, this feels like a very big, like losing someone or going through a breakup or losing something that you cared about. Losing. It's like maybe not physically having something anymore. For some of you, there could be things that are changing at work as well. Maybe it was something that happened that was hard to accept, too. It almost feels like a change is coming, and there may even be some resistance that you're feeling towards this, but there's this sense of needing to, like, sit within what it is that you're feeling, not push it down, to sit in it. I'm getting a little bit of a similar vibe to the Pisces reading that I did. Just a little bit. I'm feeling some similar energy. For some of you, you're moving somewhere, moving on from something. So it's like we start off in this place feeling very secure with something that we have, and then it's like rumbling beneath your feet, and things are kind of shaking and moving all over the place. For some of you within this relationship, for some of you specifically, this is being highlighted. I'm seeing a same-gendered relationship. Not for everybody, but that may be for someone in particular that needed that. That was like really jumping out to me here. Maybe a specific message for someone. I'm seeing two masculine figures. Yeah, not for everybody. Maybe too, for some of you, there could have been a situation that you were going through where you recognize that something that you had been holding on to needed to end because you're being called elsewhere. For some of you, this can even be moving into a different, separate relationship. It was like maybe you didn't want to accept that something was ended because it was difficult, but it's like as soon as you do, remember, energies can always be reversed. This can be you coming through and telling somebody that something is ending and needing to move through that as well. Because it feels like no matter who's on the like receiving end, both parties, all parties are going through a very big shift, a very big change. And it seems like you are closest to this because I'm seeing you right next to the Ten of Swords here. So I'm seeing that this change, it feels like there's definitely like some sort of suffering and or pain that is involved in this process. But there's a sense of kind of finding your way through that and knowing that it's, I suppose, necessary for this situation. Or so one feels. I'm seeing like so many different people involved. And I mean, this can be all these different aspects of you as well. But it's almost like I don't know which like frame perspective to even address this from, because it feels like so many different perspectives that are involved in this. So something could have even happened and like maybe you weren't down with the changes that were going on, or you didn't want something, and there's a sense of like shying away from something in order to adjust to what's going on. So maybe you didn't want to participate in something any longer, or things came to an end, and now it comes time for you to like sit with yourself and kind of bask in the emotional experience that you're having. What's interesting about this is that in the beginning, it begins kind of with, like, there's the stability, and then there's the sense of things, like, kind of breaking apart, and even, like, the heart chakra being cracked open, and it seems like maybe even a separation of people that are happening, but then as we get further down, there's a notion of, like, within holding on and remaining patient, you go right into a place where, like, the counterparts find one another, and they're ending up together, which is very interesting too. It's like you move quickly into this place, and we look at counterpart energy together, very together, because this can speak on a commitment, marriage, something long term. In its most basic form, it's finding harmony, and it looks like two people here, two very complementary people that are coming together to, like, form some type of connection. I'm hearing their roles can alternate. These people that come together. Interesting. It seems too like you could have even had, I'm seeing so many different storylines. You could have even had an offer from someone that was stable, but you knew that it wasn't, like, what you wanted it to be, what you needed it to be. So there's a sense of turning this thing down and feeling confident in the decision that you're making. And knowing too that there's a notion of, like, grounding and feeling like you're coming into your energy and being patient as something else is coming together. It's almost like something needed to break apart in order to make room for something that's meant more so to come together. Not that what you'd been experiencing wasn't meant to happen, but it seems like something that would be more complementary when it comes to the symbiosis of a relationship. Like, that's what you're allowing now to come to fruition. But there was something painful that you needed to separate yourself from prior to being able to open yourself up to this new thing that you're going to feel very connected with. And this does feel very much interpersonal. Like, I'm seeing this be between people here. So it's like, even though you may have felt like the rug was pulled out from under you, you end up transitioning all the way into a place where things come back together again. So it's like there's stability once again, there's harmony once again, there's balance once again. And maybe even in a more tactile way than you had been experiencing it before. I'm looking at, sorry, I'm just hearing different things. Scorpio and Sagittarius. Yeah, that thing with, like, ice cream and a waffle cone, it keeps coming through. I'm getting this again. Yeah, it looks very much like you're on a mission to find something that feels balanced to you, and there are decisions that need to be made while you're en route. You could have even gotten to a point in a situation where you're like, this isn't what I want, this isn't what I want to be doing, so I'm about to take matters into my own hands and go actually secure what it is that I'm looking for. And you know that there are difficult decisions that need to be made, but, like, you are about making these decisions because you know that's the only way to get you what it is that you want, Scorpio. Because whatever it is that was going on before, there's a sense of there not being a sense of equality in whatever that was. It's like, maybe you felt like the energy wasn't right in a situation, and you're trying to find something that feels balanced to you in that way. There's a sense too of healing some type of self-doubt that you could have been experiencing as well. Because maybe you feel like you had been making decisions, rather than making empowering decisions, it was like making decisions off of the basis of fear or like avoidance, or like, I don't want that to happen, so I'm gonna make this decision. So it's like constantly like running away from something, or so it feels. And so there's a sense of being like, this isn't getting me what I want, and this doesn't feel satisfying, this doesn't feel fulfilling to me. And so how do I go about finding that? It's like maybe you even found yourself within dynamics with people that, like, at times it felt safe, but it wasn't really what you were looking for. And now there's a sense of being like, no, I want it all and I can have it all, but it means that I have to make brave decisions for myself. So there's a sense of like, maybe where we had been neglecting to reflect, there's a sense of being like, I know I need to do this, and then going on reflecting. Because this feels very much like coming face to face with something subconscious, like something ego related, something going on with the shadow, and being like, wow, like I haven't been making these decisions from a place that I feel empowered. I've actually been doing it out of fear, or not paying attention, or like neglecting something. So it's like I've really been letting my shadow make all of these decisions for me, or I've really been letting, I'm hearing my concept of fear make these decisions for me. So now it's really about taking control, but only being able to do that through reflection. Because it's like, if you're not aware of all of the parts of yourself, there are also going to be decisions you're making that you're not aware of. So this is about bringing all of that together, is what it feels like. For some of you, you may get a tarot reading that you feel is helpful to you in some sort of way. Helpful. I don't know if I want to say that. It may give you, because helpful seems like kind of subjective, and I'm not seeing necessarily anything that alludes to that. There may be information that you are seeking that you are able to collect through some type of medium. I don't, like, you could read tarot, you could get a tarot reading, you could be looking for some type of information on a situation that you're going through, or somebody could come through to you and give you information. I'm seeing that, like, regardless of how this happens, there is a sense of gathering, collecting, finding, discovering information here. I'm seeing it come through very directly, very specifically, and I'm seeing it come through like a higher level and get to you in that way. Whether this be something that you would be connecting with, or something that you connect with through the means of another person or another being. This can be your spirit guides as well. So yeah, information that you were trying to find, I'm seeing that you find that. I'm looking at Pluto, the moon, Aquarius. On the other side, I'm looking at Virgo. Wow, a flip around. This feels very much like something could have been going on when it comes to the shadow, but it's like in healing and seeing, in like really seeing and recognizing the shadow, I'm seeing that it actually helps you with the situation. It's like, rather than pushing these aspects of yourself away, when you're embracing all of it, I'm seeing that it actually helps you with something that you needed. But it's because of doing this from like a pure space. It's like wanting to heal for the right reasons and truly healing, and wanting to like do something for yourself, for the betterment of yourself, for the right reasons, for the pure reasons. And because of that, it's almost like there's some type of insight that you get gifted with, connected with. And it seems like this notion that you've been doing of self-reflection, it kind of has taken on a life of its own at this point, because there's so much of a connection there with that, because there's so much of like looking within and like checking to see the real you, because you've been brave and made that decision to do that. Because like it or not, all of us have a concept of a shadow, an ego, all of that. And the people that become empowered in that space are the ones that can recognize all of that and see all of it and be able to step behind it to see like all of the workings and inner workings of it. However, like, ignorance accrues when we avoid those parts of ourselves. So there's definitely like a brave face that is being put on to be able to like look at all of these different aspects of yourself here. And I'm seeing that that's actually what helps you make progress. And in embracing all of these aspects of yourself too, there's like that sparking, that budding, that remembering of self-love, of holding space for yourself. I'm almost seeing it too be like this. You could have been in situations and felt like unhappy or incomplete or unsatisfied, whatever it is that we want to call it. It's like a sense of feeling unsatiated. And there's a sense of like almost, you know, when we look at something and be like, that looks happy to me, that is what I want, or that looks fulfilling to me, that person looks fulfilled, like I want to feel like that. There's a sense of like going along, like doing your business, and it's like you catch sight of something and you're like, I want that for myself. And there's a sense of like recognizing yourself in that and being like, I can have that too. And it kind of feels like you about face immediately, and you're like, I'm gonna go find what it is that I'm looking for, I'm gonna find what it is that I want. And because of that journey, there's a sense of like reflection and recognition and like this clear understanding that you see. And there's a sense of getting more connected with your intuition because you're now following what your intuition is telling you. So it's like intuitively you feel drawn towards something, and because of deciding, because it's always a choice to pursue that, you are then given like even more intuition, even more insight. For some of you, there are gifts that you're working on, there are gifts that are being exposed to you that you're recognizing you have, and now you're using it to do some type of healing, whether this be self-healing, maybe you're helping others, there's some type of like maybe even helping a community, friends, a group of people, but all starting with yourself. And it's all because you've been brave enough to look within and recognize. And it's like, because you can see these aspects of yourself, you can now recognize them in other people, but not in a way where you're going about judging other people. It's going about it in a way where it's like you can now see yourself in the other people, but seeing it through a very pure lens rather than projecting on these other people. So this is like a whole move that you're making here to be able to do this. And it's like, without going through this process of self-reflection, we would have just been repetitively like projecting and projecting and projecting onto everybody. But because of going within and being like, okay, I see where I am, I see where I'm not, and like being really real with yourself when it comes down to that, it's like now you can actually hold space and see other people and see what's going on in reality and not just a projection. Because there's a sense of having like a clear sight now, a clear vision. So you get like locked into that connection with the high priestess now. And then it's like things really start making sense to you in a way where before it's like you couldn't tell which way was up and which way was down, but you didn't even know that you didn't know. And now there's a sense of big knowing that you have now. It feels very much like waking up. This reminds me too of that sense of being like, I can make my life whatever I want it, but until we get in that place, it's like, if you don't recognize, like, in order to get out of jail, you have to recognize that you're in jail, right? you know, in prison. So it kind of feels like that. It's like something that had been going on that maybe you were, I'm seeing vanilla here, like I'm actually seeing a plant. There's a sense of like not even recognizing something before, and then it's like you wake up and you recognize where you are, and now all these things are happening. But it's because of something that you did, and as I said before, it does very much feel like a level of awakening that's happening here. Just to go over the cards again, I'm looking at Pluto, Aquarius, Virgo, and the Moon. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for joining. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.